This is Kelly from Watch the Obsession. Thanks for taking time to watch this video. Please click like and subscribe and hit the bell for future notification. This video is going to be about some of the early declarations that were made by the coroner and some investigators in the very early stages of the investigation into the homicides of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogen, and Kaylees Goncalves. So take a listen to what Cathy Mambutt, the Latah County coroner, said here and what the reporter said in commenting on Cathy Mambutt's report. Do you notice something wrong with what is said here?
I was shocked when I got a call for 4 homicides.
Latah County coroner Cathy Mambutt declared the victim's manner of death stabbing, likely from a large knife. She told us the case is one of the worst she's seen.
Part of a coroner's job is to determine the manner and cause of death. Regarding the manner of death, the death may be determined to be natural, by accident, by suicide, by homicide, or undetermined. A coroner can also determine that the manner of death is pending an investigation. Now, the cause of death is specifically what caused the death. For example, drowning, stabbing, suffocation, and so on. So let's listen again to what that reporter said about Cathy Mambutt, the county coroner's report.
Latah County coroner Cathy Mambutt declared the victim's manner of death stabbing.
So that's right. She said she declared the victim's manner of death stabbing. Well, the problem is that's not a manner of death. So I thought that the reporter just misspoke, but I heard a reporter apparently misspeak a couple of times. So I looked into the actual documentation, which we see here, which is directly from the coroner. And the coroner, Cathy Mambutt, has the manner of death listed as stabbing. That wouldn't be the manner of death. That would be the cause of death. And I just cannot believe in a case like this, where the lives of 4 young people were lost, that the county coroner would get this wrong. I think this is absolutely unbelievable. So we can see here on this document that she has the cause of death listed as homicide and the manner of death listed as stabbing, which just isn't right. And I think this lack of attention, as I said, is just wrong. The way this should really read would be the manner of death is homicide and the cause of death would be from stabbing, as we learned after we learned the details of this horrible event. Immediately after this tragedy occurs, coroner Cathy Mambutt went on several stations giving several interviews talking about the scene that she witnessed when she went to the crime scene. How many times have you heard a county coroner going on media sources to give interviews? This is really unprecedented.
They were pretty involved in the community, so it feels very personal. There's quite a bit of blood in the apartment, and it was a pretty traumatic scene to find 4 dead college students in a residence.
The Latah County coroner is commenting, saying the scene she saw on Sunday was gruesome, and any new clues are needed in the investigation.
Could be some evidence of the suspect that we get during the autopsies, which would be helpful.
Among all of the confusion about this case right after this tragedy occurred had to do with Cathy Mambutt's statements. She said both that the victims were attacked while they were sleeping, and then she also talked about looking for evidence in terms of defensive wounds, which really doesn't make sense to anybody.
The 4 University of Idaho students found dead in an off-campus house last weekend were stabbed to death in their beds, likely while they were sleeping. That's according to the coroner.
Investigators now working to determine if the victims had defensive wounds or may have gotten the suspect's DNA on their bodies.
Well, looking to see if there are some clues that are on them, some of the suspects' blood perhaps, or something under somebody's fingernails.
Yeah, good evening, Sean. We spoke to Cathy Mambutt, the coroner, and she says out of her 16 years here in Latah County as a coroner, she's never seen a situation like this, ever, describing it as a gruesome attack. She says she responded to the house about 5 hours afterward. Mambutt says the police were investigating the scene before the bodies were removed from the house. We learned that the autopsy will hopefully be done by tomorrow, and at that point,
we'll know the the exact cause of death for each of them.
How bad was it?
It was very, very traumatic.
Have you seen anything like that before?
No.
The autopsy will show the cause of death and will hopefully find some sort of DNA from a potential suspect. She says they typically look for DNA under the fingernails and through other exams. Mambutt says they will be looking for defense wounds as well. The coroner, who's a grandmother and feels for the families, says it was a tragic death.
In addition to the coroner, Cathy Mambutt being very loose-lipped in talking to the news media and anyone really that wanted to give her an interview, it seemed, she also disclosed some sordid details to Kaylees Goncalves' sister, who is a minor, as Christy Goncalves recounts here in this heart-wrenching interview.
Sleepless nights, it's feeling sick to your stomach, it's just being left in the dark.
Kaylees Goncalves' mother recounting the chaos on the day she found out her daughter and Kaylee's best friend Maddie were killed, along with Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin.
There's nothing you could do. Absolutely nothing. Just, we were running around for hours just not knowing what was going on, what happened. Because we found out by people calling us. And the sheriff showed up about 3 hours later.
When you saw the sheriff, did you know?
Yes. And I had said that. I said, it's not real until the sheriff pulls up.
Goncalves says she and her family support the police and the work investigators are doing, but they're critical of authorities for what they called poor communication with victims' families.
You found out about the white car from a press release?
Yes. Yes.
Did they send you the press release?
No.
This morning, new clues related to that white Hyundai. Fox News Digital reporting this new surveillance photo from a gas station showing what appears to be a white car driving at 3:45 a.m. on the night of the murders. Meantime, Goncalves also told me the county coroner called and told her 17-year-old daughter graphic details from the autopsy over the phone.
She asked, "Are you sure you want to know this?" And my daughter, thinking that she did for whatever reason, said yes, and she proceeded to tell her.
And so, and you haven't spoken to the coroner?
No.